Well, Cindy, thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Uh, I am a technology portfolio analyst at Chevron for 14 years, and I'm going to be um, retiring at the end of December and moving to upstate New York to be closer to my son and grandchildren. And I'll find a job up there because I can't imagine not working.
I know how you feel. And my cousin and her family is in upstate New York, so um,
Where, do you know?
I'm not entirely sure,
Okay,
actually.
because there's a lot of upstate New York. It
I
can mean
know.
a lot of things. I'm very rural. It's very rural. It's like 3 hours from the city, 4 hours from Buffalo, 2 hours from Albany and Syracuse, like way in the middle of the state. Rural, very rural.
I hear there's lot of tension between like New York City and the rest of New York. Like from a state government standpoint, it's just not working out.
No, it's not. It's not. But that's okay because I will just be close to a beautiful, I will be in the most beautiful part of, I, I just cannot express how incredibly beautiful it is up there.
I have to check it
Outside.
out. I lived in New Hampshire for a year, and it was
Yes,
it was freezing, so I had to
yes.
come back to Texas. So
Well, it's very similar to that, to New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire.
it it's it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I had a house that was built in 1905, which is amazing being in Houston. I think there's
Mhm.
probably what 20 houses in Houston built before 1905, maybe.
Yeah, they just don't stand very long. People didn't know how to care for them, I think, or I don't know. But I'm
Hur-
excited.
Hurricanes, floods, redevelopment, they
Yeah,
all have their their toll.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, well, tell me kind of like what excited you most about being a technology portfolio manager? Like, what did you like about that work?
Uh, well, first, okay, so I never really knew oil and gas, and I still don't know oil and gas. What I what I knew or what I was able to do was play a lot with spreadsheets and numbers and looking at trends and forecasting. I just liked being able to uncover nuggets and use them to improve any process that we had, and we were really successful at it, and that made me happy. Being able to go from a group of 4 FTE to 2 FTE and eventually actually working ourselves out of the job. Um, it's, I don't know, I think that's exciting to see progress like that, just in ourselves, and not being afraid to work yourself out of a job. I think that's what you should do.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't made to do the same task over and over and over again. So it's
Mhm,
it's kind of interesting. In some organizations, you see the complete opposite trends happening. Like
mhm.
it's difficult.
I like it. I like being creative, and it allowed me the ability to be innovative and creative. So it was good.
Um, so did you know we were planning to send people to the moon in 2024?
No.
Um, now, what do you think NASA needs to do differently in order for people to actually know? Because all the most of the space people I talk to, they have no idea either. Most of the space people know, of course. But
Mhm, mhm.
yeah.
Well, I guess how is this going to be different? You know, I mean, it's a kind of like a been there, done that, and and in 1968 it was new. We were trying to beat Russia prior to that, which and I don't know that there's the same. It's more of a complacency, maybe. I don't know how to generate um, interest, that much interest. Are they going to bring a civilian? Are they going to take somebody who knows nothing and try to get them to be something? You know, would they open that opportunity to start inspiring some curiosity of, do you want to go to the moon in 2024? I don't know.
Of course, you know, for those first few flights, I think having very seasoned professionals go might be a good idea.
Would you not volunteer?
To go to the moon in 2024? I think, you know, a successful mission sounds great, but a lot could go wrong. And and you know, I'm okay with waiting, actually,
okay.
a little bit.
Chicken.
I don't need to be on the first 747. I could be passenger number 2,732,000.
I just, you know, it's just like, it seems like when there's talk about, you know, taking people to the moon or, you know, on a space flight, you have to pay for it. Yeah. And it's like out of reach for 95%, 98% of the people in the world. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know I don't know how much, what are they going to do different? What's the point? Are they going to build something like a village? What are they going to, you know, why are they going to go?
You know, it's kind of interesting you say that. I mean, back in 1960s, you know, the objective was to beat the Russians. And once you've landed, you've done that. Mission objective accomplished. You know, this time, I really think that the science and the development activities are sort of the primary reason why we're going. So on the science side, you know, the moon and the Earth have been traveling through the same volume of space together. And so as you know, there's a good sample of all the things that have hit the Earth on the moon. But, you know, asteroids are constantly hitting the Earth, the majority of which are meteors are constantly hitting the Earth, the majority of which burn up in the atmosphere, land in the ocean, and the ones that do land on land get weathered over, and you know, there's no evidence of them within a few decades in many cases. However, the moon has no weather, no atmosphere. Something that's hit the moon, you know, a million years ago is just sitting right there, probably. And there's been some geological activity on the moon. Um, so the moon provides a nice record of sort of that history of all the things that the Earth's been traveling through. And potentially there could be, you know, a chunk of material in a very long orbit around the sun that only comes through every few thousand years, that the moon might have a very nice and obvious record about it once we start getting down the surface doing geology. Um, the second thing is the moon has resources like water ice. It only has a 1 degree tilt with respect to the sun, and it has these big craters where there's like these areas that are always in the shadow, and it's like colder than the surface of Pluto and these craters. And over billions of years, comets have hit the moon, wet meteors have hit the moon, and some of those water particles have fallen into these dark areas and frozen. And we think there's millions of tons of water ice and other frozen material in them. So I'd like to go see what that is. You know, water is like what, 11 pounds per gallon?
I thought it was 8.
Oh, is it 8? Maybe 8. My water is heavier than yours.
Okay. I thought it was 8. Because you can use
It's
a
probably
gallon of
8.
water.
It's probably, we're gonna go with 8. We're gonna go with 8. I think I think you're right. Um,
But a gallon of oil weighs more. Because of the density, there's, you know, a gallon of liquid is different depending upon the liquid. So I may be confused.
yeah, but it could be 8. I'll go with 8. I mean,
Okay.
the point is 8's still heavy.
Yes.
So potentially this is a great resource that would allow for us to create rocket fuel, use water for, you know, human activities, and you can also you know, you get oxygen out of water very easily. So,
Hmm.
um, so kind of prove out those resources, and then I think a lot of it really depends upon how do you view humanity, its future,
Hmm.
or is humanity forever sort of stuck on the earth, and that makes sense? Or is the long range future of humanity branching out into the solar system, of which this is sort of that first baby step? And
Hmm.
and ultimately, I think that's really a kind of like a personal philosophical judgment type of question that either makes sense to you or doesn't. I mean, I don't think there's any. I've not thought of any reasons that would say one way or the other. So,
Hmm.
but where are you on that spectrum?
I'm addicted to Star Trek. I am. Every single one of them. I don't care which. I don't care which. It just it fascinates me that to like Voyager, they've been lost for what 8 years, and they can't get back home. And I'm just I, the the um the it's all fake, but I mean, like in reality, if something like that happened, you'd have to be able to find resources, and it seems like all the planets are so close together up there, you know, in, in your big spaceship. So realistically, I don't know, but it just is. It would be. I want to live on a holodeck, is what I want to do. I don't know. I just think it would be. I can't imagine finding another planet, but I can imagine exploring in a ship.
Have you ever tried the Oculus?
Yes, I
Uh,
have.
And what do you
We
think
have one.
in terms of holodeckness? How does it feel?
It's it's very fascinating. I like being able to look around and 300 everywhere there's something there, and which is and it's not. But that, holy cow, that technology is just beyond me, but it's really cool. I wish I didn't have to wear the Oculus in order to be able to experience it, because it's makes me nauseous. um but yes,
And
that's
it's
really
kind
cool.
it's kind of funny.
They have a rock.
Yeah, and yeah, you had to put a safety zone around you whenever you come in contact with that safety zone. It feels very holodeckish at that point. It's just like,
Hmm.
you know, you're in a room again with just the little lines,
I like it's fun. I don't do it very often, but I have done rock climbing and oh, what is it? Beat Saber.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that
It,
seems to be
it,
the very popular one. It doesn't seem to me that that one really makes use of the platform. So it's kind
no,
of odd that that's popular.
but there are some like Star Wars ones, and you have Darth Vader coming at you, and he's so huge, and you can feel his immenseness when he's coming at you. It's really cool. I like it. It's fun, exploratory,
Exploratory.
but I
I
don't
mean, I,
game.
I want one that feels like I'm underneath the ocean with like the the fish swimming around me. That's what I want to find.
I think there for sure is one, because I know that we've had my granddaughter, she's 5, try it on, and I think because she likes to swim in the dark in our pool. And so Brian found her an underwater one so that she could swim in the holodeck.
That sounds that sounds awesome. It'd be cool if you could like feed the fish and then you have a shark come by, you have to hide.
I swear, I think there is one. Um, are you finding in your interviews um, some interesting perspectives of
Um, some of them, kind of the one that took me by most surprise was when I had back in February, where the person I was interviewing uh, was really concerned about us messing up the moon. Their sort of reason for us not to go to the moon was, we messed up the Earth. Why mess up the moon too? Um,
Mhm.
you know, I I really have trouble imagining pollution in the context of. It feels like you always need like some type of ecosystem you know, to think about pollution, because if there's no life that's harmed by it, then what exactly is pollution, I guess.
Hmm.
So if there's
So are
no
you
life,
saying that we could use the moon as a sanitary landfill?
look,
How do you think about that?
I think that's very impractical, because I mean you see, if you've seen the Saturn V, it's like so huge, and only that little bitty capsule makes it to the surface of the moon, and you know that's a lot of waste to get rid of a little bit of waste. So I
Yeah, but you know what? You remember the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure, or one
absolutely.
man's trash is another entity's treasure. So maybe this would be a way to get rid of trash and someone else would come pick it up because it's valuable to them.
Well, I've thought about this with like plastic. I think people aren't into plastic recycling because they don't see it. Um, but can you imagine if people had a device in their house that you could put plastic products into, and useful, needed, desired plastic products came out of, all within inside of one person's house? I
That
mean,
would
you
be
could.
cool. Have you?
I
That's
mean,
really good.
yeah, if you take like your bottles and you could turn them into like a little box, or
Yep.
maybe a cup holder, or a pen holder, or maybe some type of like. It always seems that at some point we lose, I don't know how, but one of those little rings in the showers that hold up the curtain. Just need one of them. Yeah.
Okay, good idea. I like the idea though. That's a really good idea. You need to go patent it.
We should do it. Forget about
Okay.
the that could keep you busy.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a way. I would think it would be fairly simple. Now that they have the whole, the 3D design stuff where you can build something plastic. Well, you
I've been
got to
doing
put
it.
plastic in it to get plastic out.
I've been doing a little research. I think that the biggest challenges is the different types of plastic,
Yeah.
and they have very different kind of chemical and physical properties in terms of at what temperature they melt at, do they off gas stuff. So the the biggest problem I think at the beginning is how do you sort through the plastic, and even like those little plastic water bottles. The water bottle is made out of one type of plastic, but that little ring that holds the little that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
connected to the top, that's a different type of plastic. So you kind of have to have some way to sort through that, and then after you got your plastic separated, the next big problem is making sure your plastic's clean. um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then but once you have that clean plastic feed, cutting it down, melting it up, and forming it into stuff. I mean, we're not talking about intricate stuff, right? I mean, we're
Oh.
talking about you know um, pots for your plants, and um, you know
See, I'm telling you, if you could, all you, if the 3D laser or the 3D, what's that called? Where you can build a cup, with the 3D up.
you mean like the 3D printers? I
Yes, yes,
have
yes, yes,
two
yes.
of them over there actually. They're kind of, I don't know if you can make them out. They're
You
kind
can
of at a odd angle, so um,
see, don't you have to put some kind of plastic in order to get something out?
we do, yeah. We PLA. It's a thin ribbon or thin um, thread, and
Hmm.
it gets melted and put into intricate designs at the top.
See,
It's a very slow process too, but at least with these. Um, so
but you could use plastic bottles instead of a thin, if there was a mechanism to get it. Anyway, okay, next question. Wait a second. Wait. I'm sorry. My phone kept dinging. My sister just got an all clear from lung cancer.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, first she had breast cancer, and that got taken care of. Then she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and now she just tested positive for COVID,
Oh,
which is not good. She's a heavy smoker. She's just gotten done with all of her chemo. She's still on some kind of treatment for preventative. And so if, in terms of being at risk, she's a high risk.
that's,
So we'll see what happens.
should I cut that part out of the interview or can I keep it?
You can keep it. It's okay.
Okay. I
Sorry.
no trouble. I generally publish these unedited. I did interview one person and she was talking about her fiance, and then she emails me back afterwards. She's like, I haven't told everybody that we're engaged yet. Can we cut out that part?
Good idea.
Like, yeah, we could do that.
He doesn't know that we're engaged.
Well, there's that. The funny thing is I've interviewed both of them, so that was kind of cool. I like separately.
Okay. So have you been able to interview at least one person a day, or is it
One person a day. I've not missed a day. Started last December 17th, almost at the 1 year mark. I know. It's
What are you hoping to get out of it?
well, originally what I was hoping to get out of it was get out of the house. I've been working from home for the past 2 years, and the only people I would see would be family members. And so my original plan was to go talk to random people at Starbucks in the store and what have you. So between December 17th and the middle of March, it was all with people in person. And so personal development, I think, is the number one goal. Just talking to people, expanding
Are you
your
an
horizon.
introvert?
Sometimes
Oh.
shy, sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes people wish I was.
Oh, hey, have you ever heard from, you may want to cut this, Madeline, have you heard from?
I haven't. I was hoping to get in touch with her too. So.
I did her on LinkedIn, and she's working for a nonprofit in Maine, I think, or a government. I think she's working, for a politician. I'm not sure, but I don't think she's with Deloitte anymore.
I'll have to look her up.
She's out there.
But shyly. Yeah, the consulting gigs are a real life drainer. So I'm not sure what it is about it, but somehow it just turns out that way.
Mm-hmm. The expectation. Yeah. I can't imagine. I would not. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So you had some questions about why are we going to the moon? What do we hope to get out of it?
Yes.
And then you also said you were a big Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those seems to go different directions. So what do you think about us going to the moon? You think it's a good thing, bad thing, like a wrong time?
I think it was stupid that we stopped the space program in the first place. Shit happens, when the Challenger blew up, I think it was, and you just shouldn't stop. There was so much more to be learned and gained and developed, and I'm sure that people were still in there. I just know that my brother owned a house in Titusville, Florida, and when everything stopped, it became a ghost town, and people were leaving the area, finding other places to work and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe it's a necessary evil, but the aliens are coming down to Earth all the time, and Area 52 is hiding something.
I talked to one person, and he's like, all these alien abductions. He's like, I know they're fake, and I'm like, well, you know, let's explore that. Why do you think so? He's like, well, only white people get abducted. It's like, you don't hear about people from other countries or what have you. And he's like, it seems like they would have more of a broader sample set than just. He's like, therefore, this must be some type of kind of uh, mental um, issue with our culture and what have you.
My dad is from Ubliablek, and I know you don't know that particular planet, but my dad was brought up with Depression era as a child, farming, very poor, very, very poor. And I think he used Ubliablek as an escape. My sister actually has the name Ubliablek tattooed on her ankle. My brother got my dad a coffee cup. It says descendants with all of his children, and it descendants of, but my dad really believed. He did. He used it as an escape. So I'm just wondering if the people who are being abducted, it's kind of like a Munchausen syndrome. They're desperately in need of attention, perhaps, or yeah, I don't know.
I think like the flat earthers are in the same camp.
Oh my God, where the hell did that come from? Right? Oh, what? What are they thinking?
It's like to hold a belief against all evidence.
Yeah, I just heard about that. My son told me that, or maybe it was my husband. I can't remember, but yeah, that there's this whole movement of flat earthers. Again, is it for the attention? To just be defiant. There is such a thing as oppositional defiance disorder.
Mm.
I think my daughter has that. And no matter
Rebel without a cause, that type of thing.
Yeah. So, anything to have something diagnosed so you can make an excuse for why you behave a certain way. Just anyway, we're going way off track. I do understand that one person's perspective in that you talked to in February about, why would we've messed up this planet. Why would we want to mess up the moon too? I do have to agree. But then also when you talk about the ice stuff, is it, if we're able to extract some core samples but what happens if there's life in those core samples? Like what is it? The frozen woolly mammoth that they got out of wherever it was. Is there the possibility of exposure to something that we don't want to be exposed to? That would be a little scary for me, of finding something that wasn't intended to be here. And that's why it's on the moon.
So, we have two really famous billionaires with completely different visions about space right now that are actively pursuing them. We have Elon Musk, who wants to build a city on Mars as kind of another, we don't know what's going to happen on the Earth. It'd be good to have a backup. If we're in two places, then, we have a big meteor hit the Earth or Mars, at least the other place is safe. Or we have a pandemic that wipes out everybody, the other place is safe. Those types of things, are a nuclear war or whatever. And there's also some other thoughts that humanity always having a frontier provides a kind of like this always challenging place that is constantly feeding back into the rest of society all of these new and innovative and challenging ideas. And Also, the frontier acts like a safety valve. Those people who don't quite fit in, they can either go to the frontier themselves, or at least they feel like they can. And maybe just knowing you potentially theoretically have the option is
Mhm.
enough to kind of you know uh, help you go along as it
Mhm.
will. And then we have Jeff Bezos, who has his space company, which is Blue Origin.
Ugh.
And his vision is that we need space to protect the Earth. Like, we should be doing all of our energy generation, which is amazing to think about. You know, the sun generates energy in all directions, and only 1/700th billionth of the sun's energy falls on the Earth. This, which basically means that if you could capture any additional part, I mean, there's like infinite amount of energy there. Some people are suggesting that, you know, you create these big solar arrays in orbits around the sun that then beam the energy back to Earth,
Mhm.
and you could create those solar arrays of material off the moon, which would be easier to get at and launch and wouldn't hurt the Earth. Uh, I mean, essentially unlimited energy to go recycle plastic bottles to turn into potted plants.
Oh yeah, but can you imagine if they just had it just 1 centimeter off kilter, that solar panel, and then it creates like a magnifying glass effect, and then just totally incinerates another planet or Earth?
I know. We create this autonomous device that goes around the solar system, creating these solar collectors with directions to beam it back to Earth, and eventually just vapor.
Yeah. See?
It's like the self-cleaning oven, you know. It's just like, what killed these people? Well, they were sort of successful in a way.
Successful.
Success is deadly.
Oh my God. Oh, but what you said? Oh, but uh, in terms of frontier, and if you mentioned if you're like not, if you just don't fit in as another place to go, would you stop it? We could. I think it's kind of like what is Escape from New York. Just stop it. Move all the prisoners, and then anytime someone breaks a law, you just stick them into a little capsule and you shoot them out into wherever they're. Stop it, buddy. He's barking at the cat.
Sounds like a good morning ritual.
Thank you. Okay. Tape.
Hello.
My buddy. My buddy. My buddy. Wherever he goes with me. Yeah. I have all my animals. They all sit.
Escape from New York or Australia?
No, Escape from New York. It was with
No, but I mean,
Kurt's
Australia was
Russell.
like a penal colony, right?
Oh yeah. Excellent point. And it recovered from that experience. Anyway, yeah. So options.
There's only 2 countries in the world that have private companies that are capable of getting things into orbit around the Earth.
Mhm.
I mean, there's several governmental agencies around the world that can, but there's only 2 countries that have private companies.
Mhm.
The United States is one. You want to make a guess of who the second one is?
Argentina.
That would be amazing. New Zealand.
Oh, okay. I was going for, really.
Yeah, there's a company there called Rocket Labs, and they have the capability of launching satellites into orbit.
Oh my God.
They've technically become a U.S. company now, so they could bid on U.S. military contracts, which you have
Oh,
to.
did Bezos, what's his name, buy it or something?
Oh no, they're still very much independent.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that.
See what I mean, though? It's like, it's almost like a toy for him. I don't know how. But oh yeah, I know. I have a question. So right now there's really no profit to be gained from a space program. Is there? I don't think there is, not yet, except for investors. But I mean, in terms of like actually finding a product and well, okay, so no, wait, satellites, if you have to pay for the use of the satellite. I wonder how long is it going to be before the space program, any space program, would be profitable in terms of an actual product that could be sold.
Yeah.
And then fund the program itself, not by investors, just by.
Yeah, I think you need markets for that. So the only big market that we have, I think, is space tourism. If you get the price low enough, you get the volume up and what have you. And talking about that, did you know that rockets and like large airplanes almost cost the same, but you use the rocket one time and you use the large airplane over and over and over again, which is why you can buy a seat from Houston to Philadelphia for $100, instead of it costing, $10 million or whatever. But SpaceX is working on developing this 100% reusable rocket that could carry 100 people at a time. And they're building it in Boca Chica, Texas, over there near Brownsville.
Okay.
And they actually are developing a factory that can just turn these things out. And they tested one yesterday. It went up to 12.5 kilometers, and they were testing the aerodynamic stability in the rockets, and it exploded when it landed. But anyway, but but the test was 99% successful. It was a perfect, flawless flight up until that point.
Oh my God.
It was really good, though. It was really good. You've seen it's so beautiful. I just, it's just like so. You're just like, but
Okay. Yes, on track.
but they already had the second that's they named their prototypes by serial numbers. This was SN8, serial number 8. They already have SN9, SN10, and I think SN11, and some different, like SN9 is ready to take off, that type of thing. So they just had to clean off the launch pad and they're ready to go again. But they're talking about this spacecraft being able to make up to like 3 flights a day to space, or even point to point in Earth. You could go from Houston to Shanghai in like 30 to 40 minutes. So, at the end of your day, you could like fly to Shanghai, have a lunchtime meeting, fly back before morning here, and nobody ever know you went to Shanghai.
What was that airplane? Was it the Concorde? What was it?
Yeah, Concorde was the supersonic one.
And whatever happened to that?
Well, it was taken off, and I think I forget where it was taken off, but a bit of a debris from a United plane went into one of the intake engines, and it actually crashed. And then they basically figured that it really wasn't economically sustainable, and they had this safety concern and stuff like that. But even that was only improved your speed by like, I think 2/3. I mean, it still took you 2 hours to go from Paris to New York. I mean, here you'd be able to do that in 20 minutes.
I think my father-in-law actually flew on the Concorde once to go to Europe.
You ever hear that joke about how they played a in-flight movie, but you couldn't hear anything because you're traveling faster than the speed of sound?
Oh, you have the most bizarre. I mean, the fact that I have Yuri on my computer,
Yeah.
that you even had stickers with Yuri on it. It's just, I think it's awesome. What are you still doing anaplan stuff?
I am, yeah. I work in customer support, analyzing people's models and trying to figure out where the performance issues are. And so it's a very, very, I guess, more technical and abstract work as opposed to solving real problems, as they say.
Oh, but that's good. At least you're still there, and you know it inside and out.
Yeah, and I have the best boss ever.
You just had to say that, didn't you? Just in case.
Just in case she watches, right? But I really do. It's funny. I've been working on some tools, and people in engineering were like, "Have you ever thought about maybe coming to engineering?" I'm like, "Well, if my boss comes with me, I would." We recently got reorged from the customer success group over to the engineering group, so mission accomplished.
I'm glad you have a good boss. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's awesome to have a good boss. Well, I mean, what do you see as the future of humanity? Are we stuck here on the Earth just making these little side trips, or do you think eventually we are branching out into the rest of the solar system and maybe even into the rest of the galaxy?
I don't think we're going to be I don't think we're going to be around long enough to see that happen. Not personally. I don't think the Earth is going to be around long enough to see that happen. And because of the fact of instant gratification is such a prevalent thing, you know, there's no patience anymore. I can't imagine anyone's being on a spaceship or some thing. Well, of course, unless you go into like stasis or whatever you call it, where you sleep for 40 years and then wake up at a different place at the same age, you know. But even that is kind of like, oh yeah, okay, will that happen? I don't think so. I think Star Trek Enterprise, the show Enterprise, I think they still use a regular date, you know, so 2153 or something like that, and they're, you know, traveling all around. I don't see that. I don't. I think we're gonna destroy ourselves first. Unfortunately, I don't want to believe that, but you know, and I don't mean to be a pessimist either.
But what do you? I mean, do you have an idea on? Is this more of a general feeling, or do you see some specific threats that might do that to us?
We are our own threat. You know, 2020 has been such a messed up year. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just too old to really care. You know, I don't even want to know what the world's going to be like in 20 years, because likelihood I'll still be around, but it scares the living daylights out of me that I'm not going to know how to live in it.
I know, just thinking about 20 years ago, no iPhone. Facebook was maybe at a university. Some college kids might have used it. I'm not sure. Twitter didn't exist. I mean, we were worried about the Y2K bug. That was going to destroy everything. What else? I don't know.
Well, you know, and another thing, I have lived in a very urban area for the last 40 years. I lived in near Oakland for 30 years. I've lived here for 7 years. So I haven't lived in the country, of which the vast majority of the United States is country, not, or it's, you know, rural or not even suburban. It's just, you know, and okay, so my granddaughter, they raise chickens. She goes out and she picks up the chickens. You know, they have their garden. They got their deer this year, and you have to excuse my narrow-mindedness of being pessimistic because of where I've been for the last, 40 years in an urban area, where the news is shitty all the time. And if I listen to the news up where they live, it's not shitty all the time. And yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that whole thought, but my pessimism is driven by my urban suburban life. Now, when I finally move up to New York, I might change my whole perspective and feel that the world will continue for a long time because of the vast beauty and small population that's in those areas. I don't know.
That's an interesting point. I actually think cities are not the way of the future because we don't have any need for them. Um, yeah, I mean, how many jobs do we really need to go into a physical place to work at? I know we kind of have like the holdover from that's what we've been doing and we're going to still continue to do that. But this whole pandemic thing has shown many companies that you can work virtually and, there's got to be looking at, oh, we don't have that energy cost and we don't have to do that custodial thing and they're more productive and they're more happy. And then the second thing
Yep.
is, have you heard of Starlink?
No.
Starlink
No.
is a constellation of several thousand low orbit satellites that will provide high-speed internet access around the world. And they've already started building it out. And you could be anywhere in the United States once this gets done, like in the middle of next year. I wish they were a year ahead. I would have put it on top of an RV camper and going around the country.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so really quick. I don't know if I have. Hold on. Okay. Are you familiar with the House of Tiny Treasures?
I'm not, but it sounds cool.
Well, it's the search organization, the homeless organization in Houston. I don't know what it stands for, but it's a huge foundation that helps people get transitional housing, make sure that people are fed, the homeless. Anyway, the House of Tiny Treasures is a preschool for homeless and deeply poverty preschoolers. So we did this huge thing last year, Chevron, a STEM night, and we did all kinds of experiments that 2 to 4, 5-year-olds could like appreciate, just be able to ask questions, not necessarily fully understand like a lever or why a bubble is round instead of square when it goes through a square thing. It's just more to get them to think. So this year we did videos, and the kids wanted to. Their 2 topics were space and insects. So we did videos. We did 5 to 7 minute videos of different, stuff. Like I made paper airplanes. Well, and then I made but one of the things that I made, because you said constellations. Okay, you take a toilet paper roll,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you put foil on it. So you have the open end. And And you got the, the top, and you like poke holes to make the Big Dipper,
Mhm.
or semi, or now the bear, Orion's belt, or whatever. And then you take a flashlight and you stick it here, and you go into a dark room, and you can build your own constellations.
That's really
Uh-huh.
neat.
And so anyway, that was one of the experiments that I did, and I changed my things, my foil, so that I had like several different constellations, and then I would tell the story about the constellation while I was showing it on the ceiling. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, House of Tiny Treasures. Little kids want to know about space.
That's awesome. Future explorers, scientists, entrepreneurs, all those people. Well, one last question for you. If it was safe and affordable, would you go to space?
I haven't even been out of the United States.
Really? Like ever?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
And I guess it depends on how long I would have to be in space, because flying is a waste of time for me.
I understand. Being in a little can.
And being 61, I don't have a lot of time left. I just want to, I don't know if I would. I mean, what is there to see?
I got the Earth. You're in free fall, so you get to float. So weightless.
Okay. All right. For that experience, yeah, I would do it, to be able to be weightless. And yeah, I think it would be kind of interesting to see the Earth from afar. It would also be interesting to see the moon up close and in person, but not on it, just viewing it from it, but closer than we are now, like make a lap around the moon.
There's actually a Japanese billionaire who's planning to take a group of 7 to 9 artists around the moon on SpaceX's Starship in 2023. That they would just go around the moon and experience that kind of like Apollo 8 type of feeling.
Artists? Why artists?
The idea is that these are a group of people that can experience something and communicate that experience in a very emotional and impactful level to other people.
Wow.
And he's using the broadest sense definition of artists. So he's talking about not only your painters and your singers, but your playwrights and your sculptors and fashion designers and movie directors and basically everybody's an artist. Your portfolio managers, they're artists too.
Yes, they are. They are.
I know.
Creative. If you're creative, you're an artist.
You have to figure out how to put the pieces together.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
I've
thank you
taken
so
way more time.
No, it's fantastic. I've taken your time. I really enjoyed connecting with you, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And if you know of anybody else, I got 1,480 some odd more days to go, so I can use some help.
It would be very interesting if you were to go, ask the House of Tiny Treasures to talk to the 5-year-olds about space in 2024. I think you would get, if they weren't, nervous, I think you would get some really interesting answers from the children.
Do you have a contact?
Let me reach out to her. Okay.
That would be awesome. I've interviewed a few children. They've all, without exception, have been very cute. I interviewed my 4-year-old nephew, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about us sending people to the moon in 2024? He's like, will I get to go to the moon in 2024? He's like, I want to go to the moon. When will I get to go to the moon? And he's like, why aren't we on the moon? And then like immediately after that, his attention's like onto something else. It's like, that's why we're not on the moon.
Yeah, let me contact Molly and see see if something could be set up. I do know they use Zoom. So
That'd be perfect. Yeah,
uh,
that'd be fantastic. I love it. Yeah, we could do that. They could take care of a whole year probably.
yeah, because well, I don't know how big the classrooms are, but yeah.
At least a month or
Yeah,
a week.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Cindy, thank you so much. I'll hopefully stay in touch. I'd love to see you in upstate New York sometime and hear happy things.
I'm hoping to. Yeah, and I think we can stay in touch, especially if I'm able to get this if Molly would be, interested in sharing it with kids, that would be really cool.
It would be great. Yeah. Well, you have a good rest of your day then.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.